Hey everybody, it's time. Welcome to Wives Wine Down. Y'all know what time it is. It's time to get it in. Grab your glasses, grab your water, your wine, whatever is your fancy. Hey sis, hey Renita. Yes, I love when y'all pop in right at 8. Y'all don't be playing. Yes. Welcome to Wives Wine Down. I am your host, Shonda Brown White. I'm so excited. I needed y'all tonight. I'm so excited about tonight and just this moment. And if you missed the memo, this is Black History Month. Whoop, whoop, whoop. And I'm going to get into that in just a second once I get my guest on. Hey, Charli, I see you, girl. I'm going to get you on in just a second. Hey, KK. Hey, ladies. Hey, Angela. But yes, it's Black History Month, in case y'all forgot, okay? I'm rocking these cute earrings from a Black-owned boutique. It's like, Dear Brown Girl, you are more than magic. It says something else too. But, you know, we got to support Black-owned businesses, not just during Black History Month, but all throughout the year, which I do anyway. I got so much stuff. It's ridiculous, but I love it. So make sure y'all support your favorite Black-owned businesses a little extra this month and just show, pay homage and show respect for those who came before us, because we know we are because of them. And so we have a lot to celebrate. We know we still have a long way to go, but it's our month, so we're going to represent. Y'all know I get crunk. Yes. So for those of you all who don't know, I am Shonda White. I am your host. And yes, this is me. I started Wives Wine Down because, thank you, Angela. Hey, Princess. Hey, Tasha. I started this outlet because I wanted to get women together just so we could kiki, have fun, but also be encouraged and empowered. My purpose and mission, I feel, is to encourage and empower women with life and love, real talk. And so I wanted to find a way to just keep it real and honest. We always talk about like what to do to find a man, get a man, but it's like, what do you do when you get married and you a whole wife? Like, what do you do to stay married? Like, what does that look like? So I wanted to pull back the curtain on marriage and just keep it real and be honest about it. I remember when I first got married, the first few years, we would have our little spats or just different seasons and ups and downs. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, what's wrong? Like, is this what I'm supposed to do? Like, was I supposed to get married? Like, I'm confused. And then when I would talk to other wives, they're like, oh girl, that's normal. Or we went through the same thing. Hey, Claudine. Hey, Bad Buddha. Hey Jay. And so we would, go through certain things. But then once I talked to other wives, I'm like, oh, this is kind of normal, or this is what couples go through. And so I wanted to create a safe space, whether you're married, you're single, you've been married for 2 months, or you've been married for 20 years. I wanted to create a safe place where we could have fun, but also keep it real about the joys and the pleasures of marriage. Like, yes, it's hard work, but it's also wonderful and it's great. And also just keeping it real and having an honest conversation about what that looks like and what it takes to like stay happily married. So without further ado, thank y'all. Shout out to all y'all who are joining already. I love it. I love my day ones. I see y'all. I love y'all. Hey, Shaquana. And so without further ado, I'm so excited about tonight. On our special guest. Yes, Claudine, that is so true. She said it's really hard if you didn't grow up seeing married life in the home. That is so true. And I was that girl. Charli!
Hey, girl!
Hey!
How you doing?
Happy Black History Month!
Happy Black History Month, boo. Girl, I'm ready for this. I'm so excited. Can you see me? We good? How's my angle?
Boom. There it is, right there.
All right. Of course, technology was trying to fail me tonight. My little stand was acting crazy. So, hi, everybody.
Listen, you said you're excited. No, I am excited. Before I even introduce you formally to the people, this is a full circle moment, and you already know how much this means to me tonight because of like everything. I'm not even gonna get into that because it's not about me tonight, but I just want to say thank you for your yes, and thank you for just being
You're
you.
welcome.
Like a lot of people, this is Black History Month, but we don't even realize like what you do and what you've done with Essence and what you all have done for years. Like you all have been encouraging us to own our Blackness and to embrace like who we are as Black women and to own that. So to do this Wives Wine Down with you on tonight during Black History Month, thank you.
It's a moment.
It is a moment. I'm not gonna cry, but it's a moment.
It's a moment.
Yes. So
I'm
thank
ready.
you. Yes. Okay.
Thank you
Let's
for
get
having
into
me.
It. Now,
you know I love talking about being married and all things love. So please, you had to say less. I was here.
Thank you, girl.
Girl, I love you. I support all that you do. And this is my favorite thing to talk about. And there are drinks involved.
Listen, get y'all drinks. Yes, you're ready. I love it. Make sure y'all know we toast it up later on. So make sure y'all got
Yes.
drinks ready.
I
Okay?
came prepared.
Yes, I love that. Yes. Okay, so let me introduce you to the people, just in case they don't know. But y'all can Google her as well. She's Googleable, okay? Charli Penn is the lifestyle director and resident love guru at Essence Magazine, where she writes in the name and praise of love and good living. She's also the co-host of the two-time Webby-nominated podcast, Yes Girl, an on-air personality and producer. She's a devoted wife, dog mom, and home decor enthusiast whose passion is promoting healthy, happy relationships for all. So everyone, clap it up in the chat and give it up for Charli.
I'm so happy to be here. Somebody said runs over to Google. I'm dead.
I'm done. Claudine, y'all starting already.
I love it. I love it.
Let's get into it because I'm like, oh, Lord, there's so much I want to talk. I realize we have so much in common. But anyway, first, before we get into it, I want to ask, how are you doing? And like, how have you been during quarantine and everything? How are you mentally, spiritually, emotionally, all of that?
I am doing well. It's been spiritually, emotionally, it's been a journey, right? But it has for all of us. It's been a lot. We've all had to deal with so much. I'm grateful that I'm healthy. My family's healthy. We've had some scares. It's been a lot. And I know my stories, I'm not alone in that story. You know, I've had my moments where I took a break from social media or moments where I just had to be with myself. But I feel good about where I am. I'm positive about 2021, and I hope that everyone else is too.
Yes.
How are you, Shanta? How are you?
I've been good. I have been good. I am praying for some relief and healing in certain areas physically. But, you know, us females, we have certain things that go on sometimes. But beyond that, like you said, I honestly can't complain. I'm thankful and I'm hopeful. And thank you for asking. That's so nice of you.
Of course. I want to know how you're doing as well.
Yes. So what I want to do is kind of go back to like the early stages. Because we do sometimes have most of the women are usually married, but we do have a mixture of singles. So I always like to talk about the journey, you know, because everybody sees the yeses. I love to hear about the no's or like the journey to get to where we got to. Because sometimes people are like, well, you married. It's like, don't. I was single.
There was some work. There was a story.
There's a story. So I love the story. So I want to go back there and then we'll move into the marriage part. But I know you talked about how you and your husband, you were fairly young and you were actually like coming off of another serious breakup. And you talked about how you had actually experienced more than enough heartbreak, even by the age of 21, which I could totally relate to. I'm often asked when it comes to like healing after heartache, like, how do you know when you're ready to like be in a relationship and move on? So for you, considering all the heartbreak that you went through, how did you know you were ready to like enter into a new relationship?
So I had to give it a lot of time. And when I say that, I had to give my new relationship time. So I know a lot of people feel like, you know, you can't be on the rebound. You can't just end up right with someone else. I don't agree with that because for me, I wasn't expecting my husband to walk into my life when he did. We always laugh about this. I was 21, he was 23, like timing wise, nobody saw that coming. When we met, it wasn't like, oh, you're going to be my husband, you're going to be my wife. We didn't necessarily expect it then. So we weren't looking for it then. So what I allowed myself to do, Shonda, is just enjoy being in a love that felt good. And I just let that marinate for a while. And I think where people, in my opinion, get it twisted is like, it's not that you can't try again or you can't be open to new love, but you shouldn't rush that love once you get there. If you want to be a couple, if you want to put a title on it, go ahead. Just be sure that you're taking the time you need within that situation, whether it's dating, relationship, seeing a lot of people, girl, whatever. But I think you have to know how much time you need and you have to keep checking in with your heart. I did that a lot. I said, ooh, Charli, how does this feel? Oh, this feels good. Okay, write that down. You know, you feel happy. You feel safe. Write that down. You feel cared for. You feel loved. You feel supported. Write that down. And so it was a lot of, I want to say note taking, but not in like a keeping tabs way, in just of being aware of what felt different and good. And then not allowing my thoughts to be crowded by what other people felt about that at the time. Like it may not have made sense to anyone else, but it made sense to me at the time and to my heart. And that's really, you got to be true to yourself.
That's so true. Like taking that time, I'm like, it's so funny how we're so parallel, because like that was key for me. It's like taking that time, whatever that looks like, whether you're in the relationship or whether you're by yourself, like taking that time is so important. I love that you said that.
And that emotional work, you can only do that with you.
Only you.
Okay, just you right
it's
here.
It's like financial credit. Only you can fix your credit.
Okay.
Only you can fix your emotional credit. Okay.
Yes, that is a word. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I know for me, I used to use the term relationship chameleon to describe like how I used to be in relationships, because I would change. So if I was dating this guy, I'm this girl. And if I'm dating this guy, I'm that girl. And I whatever he's interested in, I was interested in that time. But you said before, which I love so much, I could totally relate to this. You said finding the one who's giving you the real him and enjoying the real you is a great thing. Now, when would you say that shift happened for you, or you embrace that idea of like, if a man's going to love me and like be with me, he's going to appreciate and like actually love the real me? Like, were you always like that, or did you have an awakening when it came to that?
Now, you know that takes growth.
Well, I know me, but you know, everybody's journey is different.
It takes growth, right? For all of us. And thank you for being real about it. I will do the same. Emotional growth. I mean, we have to go through a lot of bumps to really understand our worth. Yeah. And that takes time. I think for me, it was growth, and it was also acknowledging what I was feeling and what was happening. Like when you feel a love that makes you happier and more complete than anything else you felt, if you're right with yourself and you've grown enough to at least know that you feel that way, that's a huge step. And so for me, I think it was gradual. Like we talk about like our dating past and our journey. Like I was that girl, Shonda. Like I loved a rom-com. I watched every episode of Sex and the City like a million times. And I feel like I was very guilty of thinking that I always in search of a 90s R&B kind of love song love, but way too early. So like I was trying to make every guy be like, the one, my Babyface, my whatever, lead singer, whatever. Yes. But that doesn't often happen in your early 20s. That's not a real, if you do, great, but that's not real. We're still growing. Everybody's still becoming who they are today at that time. So I think for me, I was looking for love. Just every time I dated, I was like, could this be it? Could this be it? So for me, it was right. Like, are you him? Are you him? I'll admit that. I think a lot of women did it. But so for me, it was about stopping that search, okay? And just saying, Charli, what do you want? What feels good to you? And because a lot of times when you're looking for something to be great, that means it already isn't. Because if it was, you wouldn't be trying to find that connection with the person. You wouldn't be trying to claim it and name it. You would just be like, oh, okay, that's what this feels like. But when you're asking yourself if this is it, then it probably isn't. So I think that's the growth, to answer your question in a very long roundabout kind of way.
No, that was good. When you're looking for something to be great, it probably isn't. That is so real. And I felt you on the 90s R&B tip. Like I was a teenager when Mary J. My Life came out. And I tell my husband all the time, I don't know why I just felt that so hard. And I was a teenager trying to get that 90s R&B love. Like,
yes, and we were too young for it. That was it. It's not that it wasn't real. It's not that it couldn't happen, but these were 20 and 30-something, 40-something-year-old women. Yes. And we're like, yes, what do we know? What do we know about it?
What do we know?
Nothing.
I felt you see me. Oh, you see me. I felt that because my husband thinks I'm stuck in the 90s anyway. So when you said, I was like, oh,
I'm still stuck there. And I wave that flag proudly. I will stay there in my 90s kind of love, which is now real. But when you're looking for it at 19, 18, 20, 21, 22, it's okay if you don't find it. Not many people do.
Oh my gosh, I felt all of that. You hear me? Somebody's laughing it up in the chat.
I could quote the love songs. I could give you all of it, the remix. So remember we used to read the album covers and all the dedications, and that everything was just about this, Hollywood love, this music love. And you know, when you're searching for that, who knows what could happen. But I think it's just about not trying to live out a song or a movie scene, but just saying like, okay, what do I need to feel loved and happy? What does my soulmate look like to me? What does real love look like to me?
What do I need? Exactly.
Hey, my cousin's in the room.
Hi, cousin. Oh, I love it. Thanks for stopping through to support your cousin.
Yes.
And I read where you and your husband dated long distance for a short period of time, and then something happened. I know what it was, but something happened which made it very crystal clear that he was the one. So will you talk about and tell the people what it was and how you knew he was the one?
He's gonna hate me for this story, but yes, we started dating, and you know, I'm a Virgo. We set a plan, we follow it. I was like, it's great that we met. I love you. This feels good, but I'm trying to go to grad school. I was clear about that from the minute we met, and I had applied to schools in New York, in Chicago, down south, and in California. And as it turns out, I got into Berkeley. That was the program I wanted to go to. And I was like, yeah, so I want to love you. We will try to do this long distance, but I also need to stay on my course. So I moved to California and left him behind in New Jersey. And we tried the long distance thing. And I think it was working, but it was really hard because I'm out there in grad school working, you know, as we all say, hustling. Yes. So I had a lot going on, and we were trying, the time zone was hard. Like, you know, that whole like, I just woke up, you're at lunch, you know, it's time for you to go to bed. I'm still in class or in whatever. And it was difficult. And I actually was doing an internship, and I was sitting at my desk, and it was odd because I couldn't get him on the phone all day. And I was like, okay, well, I know we're both busy, but where'd he go? Right. And I look up, and he is standing right there across the country in front of my desk at my whole job, surprising me with flowers because he had hopped on a plane because he was like, look, I can't do this distance right now. I need to see you. And for me, that moment, I just remember thinking, I felt that way too, but I didn't want to say anything. So it was just really beautiful to see, to know that we were so aligned there. And I think that was one of the first moments where I was just like, it really feels good to be loved this way and to love that person the same way too. And just to know that they, you know how they say, like, I can't live without you. I can't be without you. Love songs, going back, right? We talk about it, but he meant it. And I believed him, and he got on the plane to show me that. And he never left.
Never left. And the reason why I'm so glad you told that story, because when I saw that, I was like, woo, he done, like, we were long distance, and my husband was traveling back and forth each month. But for him to pack up and come on out there, like, that's major. That's huge. And that's what because people ask me all the time, how did you know? I'm like, when the actions align with the words.
Okay.
That's
he moved his job. You know, his mom sent him on a plane with a goodbye pie. Like, this man made plans.
This man made plans, huh?
He booked a ticket. You know, I appreciate him for that to this day. And he respected the fact that at that moment, my dream was just a little bigger. So he never asked me to compromise it, pause it. He just said, let me come and be by your side for this moment. Love him for that.
We love y'all for that, okay? Yes, because somebody needs to hear, you know, like.
Okay.
Woo!
I appreciated his commitment to my commitment to what I came there to do.
I came right.
And I also want to emphasize, even with him coming and living there and moving to California, it was never a question of having to choose between our like budding love and my dream of getting my master's and pursuing a career. And I love that I never had to choose.
Renita said it best. I love you, sis. She said a word, period.
A word.
A word.
Yes.
Because sometimes we can, and I say it because I never talk from like something I didn't experience myself, but I was that girl where actions really didn't matter. It was just like, well, he says he left, but no, when he makes it clear, when your husband made it clear to those actions, you won't have to question, period.
Nope. No, you did. I didn't.
I felt right. That. So now you guys like get married and stuff, but I saw this quote on your page, and I had posted it on my page as well, because obviously it burned me up when I saw it, because I know how people say, you know, certain things. And I love how you were just honest and open about like being a wife. And you said, honestly, I can't really cook. I clean only because I have to, and I'm easily distracted. Qualities many married women have told me always, excuse me, qualities many married women have told me won't always make me the best wife, which clearly you're a good wife and you're a great wife to your husband because you've been married for 10 plus
I
years.
try.
But
I try.
hearing those things from other women, like, did you initially feel insecure or question like your ability to be a so-called good wife?
I mean, I think maybe in the beginning just a little bit, but one of the beautiful things about being millennial and married is that most of us are like-minded in that we don't play by our parents' rule book. We've kind of made our own. That's a very millennial quality. My millennials know what I mean. You know what I mean? So I wasn't concerned by it because, so funny little story, on our very first date, my husband and I, he sat down in front of me. We were meeting at a spot. And I said, we were having a good time. We were laughing. And I said, look, I don't really want to waste your time because you seem great. And I know how some men can be. So I'm not the girl that can throw down in the kitchen. I lost my mother when I was little. No one taught me. I am not that girl. I cannot throw down in the kitchen. Even though I'm type A kind of Virgo person, I hate to clean. I'll do it when I have to, but I'm not that girl either. I have dreams and ambitions, and I can be a great partner in a lot of other ways. But if that's what you need, I respect it, and you can respectfully buy me a drink, and then we can, call it. And to this day, he laughs because in his wedding vows, he literally quoted that and told, before God, our friends, our family, he said, even though you can't cook, you don't like to clean. Like, that was in his vows because I made that. And it wasn't a threat. It was more like a negotiation. It was like, hey, if you're that guy that wants like a rotisserie chicken and all the sides and the fixings every night and someone to, I don't know, rub your feet and keep this house spick and span, I respect those women, but I'm not one of them. So we always joke about that because I like to say you have to bring your whole self to the table. So he knew exactly who he was on a date with that night. And he made it clear he knew exactly who he was marrying. And I just appreciate that. So I say all of that to say, I guess it didn't really bother me because we never skipped a beat.
I love that. And Renita, I think you and Renita are twins. She's my sis. I love her to pieces.
Hey.
She said same. She's all over because, and I know her personally because we're really close. And I know she's like, you're Virgo. She cook like she feels. And that's why I like this platform and why I want you to share that, because I want women to know like marriage looks different to different people.
For everyone.
For everyone. So like, no, you may not be able to cook, but that doesn't mean you're not gonna find a man who maybe he's a chef or maybe he's
my husband
takeout.
Throws down in the kitchen. We're both still learning sometimes. I appreciate that he does more of the cooking, but I will say, because I do need to clarify, and that he did say you better clarify, I do try. Okay, I'm not sitting back like, ooh, I can burn some water, burn some eggs like the best of them.
Burn or boil?
I said burn.
Okay.
But seriously, I do try because love is about the effort, not always the execution. So I do make him some chicken fingers, y'all. He does get a little bit of like a baked chicken. Like he gets some things, but I appreciate that he understands what my capabilities were there and my interests, but I do try. I'm not inviting anybody over for dinner, but I feed him.
Renita says she doesn't even try. And that's
I don't blame you. But I've learned to, love is give and take. So I have learned to try because sometimes he's tired and that's a lot. So we both work. So I have learned to try.
Tasha says she likes that love's about effort. It surely is. It's about effort. It's about serving. And the fact, like you said, he knew that going in. And like no one here over at WivesWineDown in our tribe, no one's judging you for that because there's a lot of women who can't cook or who don't like to cook. I personally don't like to cook. I can cook, but I don't really like it. Like all the prep stuff, it gets on my nerves. But you have
to be, it has to be your thing or something that you were taught growing up. And I wasn't either. So
exactly. I'm so glad that you said that. Speaking of like so-called marriage advice that people love to give, Was there anything else that you heard like prior to getting married that like gave you a side eye, like, that's really not true for me, or that's actually false? Like anything that stuck out when you think about like people were trying to give you marriage advice?
Well, I think sometimes it wasn't necessarily advice that was directly given to me, because we had a tremendous amount of support from my friends and family from the beginning. And I will always thank them for that. And I think that's part of having the right tribe. Like, my friends have always been in support of our love story, and you know, and seeing us get to the altar and survive, as I have for them. So I would say that it wasn't necessarily for my friends and family, but what I do hear a lot of other people be told that I don't fully agree with. I think you have to know who you are to be able to partner with someone and complete each other in that sense. But I think you can still have room to grow together. I think sometimes there's this sense that, like, if you haven't made it and they haven't made it, then you have no business, you know, partnering for life. I don't agree with that. We met in our 20s. We got married in our 20s. We're in our late 30s. He just turned 40, and we have grown together. So it is very possible, and I think it can be dangerous to scare people into thinking they have to check every box, have every salary, every credit score, all of those things just to be a good partner, because that's not my story. But, you know, so I think if I had to say what advice I think is a little dangerous, is this idea that you have to have all your shit together in order to get married. I think you have to know what your flaws are, know what your weaknesses are, know what you need to work on, and be open with each other about that, communicate, and kind of put it on the table, like I did with the cooking. But you have to really, and go a little deeper. I think you have to know each other well, but part of knowing each other well, I think you can still grow as partners. And I think there's that old school, like, you can't, you know, you might grow apart, so make sure you're you're already there. Nah, I don't think so.
That's a whole word, and it's so true. And I'm just listening to you. I'm like, is this the same? Because I'm like, we got married in our 20s. My husband just turned 40. Like, talk about some growth. Like,
and you grew together. I know we grew together. We grew so much. I'm clearly not the same woman I was when I was 21 when I met him.
Talk about it. Talk about it.
You know, we grow, but you can grow together. And I love to see couples talk about being together in their 20s, 30s, and 40s, because I want more and more people to see that it's possible. And like you always say, everybody's story is different. So it may not be your story. You may already be 30 or 40, but never feel like you have to have arrived at every dream and every goal just to be a good partner. Because then what work would you do together?
Exactly. We grew during the whole quarantine. Like,
see? Exactly. Yes, we did. Woo, and we had more time together than we ever had before, too. And we used that time to grow.
My husband hasn't communicated as much, like his feelings and just being extra vulnerable, as much as he has during quarantine. And it's like 12 years later, and here we are, still growing, still learning about each other, still like opening up even more to each other. So like, I totally feel you on that. I think that is so that's a whole work.
I love that you all did that. That's the work, right? That is the work. And there's always more room to grow, always more ways to love each other, always more things to learn. Like, we learn new things about each other, that because like we didn't always get a chance to really sit in that morning routine together, or that evening, or know exactly how crazy we could both get when we're bored. Like, all these little funny things came up when who knew it took the world almost ending for a lot of us to do, you know, to really sit with our partners and be like, okay, yeah, I really, 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 really know you now.
Yes. Somebody said always. Yes. Always.
Yes. Yes.
Now you all have been married since 2010, and then again, you all were in Aruba in 2019. We were there in 2018. I'm like, I can't, like,
when
as I was researching, I'm just like, we have so much in common. Like, who knew?
So much.
Would you say that your vows like were significantly different at your vow renewal versus like the first set when you first got married? Like, did you feel like you needed to like go a little deeper? You know, you all had experienced some stuff. Do you feel like they were different?
They were different, but I would say they were just stronger, because it's one thing to say, I vow to do these things with you. And it's another thing to look back on how much of that you've already done. You feel a lot of accomplishment and pride. And there were way more tears I mean, like, I always tell people, like, we had no hesitancy on our wedding day. Like, we were like, you know, some people get a little nervous or jitters.
Yes.
We were like, let's do this. We were all in. We were young. We were excited. We were in our 20s. We were like, all right. When we were renewing our vows, there was a lot of, like, deep stares and tears. It's going to kill me for that. But tears. And I mean, it was because I know we were both thinking about the, you know, the highs, the lows, the thick, the thin, the sickness, the health. That shit happens. It comes up. It always does. And to know that you are recommitting in a good place after having already gone through a lot and knowing that there's always going to be more to come, it felt powerful and emotional. That's what I will say. And if anyone's ever renewed their vows, they know. It just felt really powerful. And we had planned to do it on our 10-year, and God works in crazy ways because as you guys know, I'm an editor, I'm a journalist. We often get a chance to visit different locations and places and try things. So Aruba is known for this Aruba I Do, which is this mass vow renewal on the beach with hundreds of couples. It is amazing. And they do it every year. And I was going to cover it and to work. And then they said, well, if you're going to be here, you guys want to renew your vows? And we were like, Aruba? Yes, of course.
Yeah.
So they said, you know, bring your husband. It was a wonderful trip. Aruba is the most beautiful place I've ever been. And we went there together, and we had planned, like I said, to do it in 2020 for our 10-year. But look at God, because we would not have been able to celebrate it in that way. And something told me to just, you know, I was like, again, with the rule book, we don't need one. So we said, okay, 9 years, 10 years, this is obviously something God wants us to do now. And it meant that much more to us because, and of course our friends were like, what just happened? Because nobody knew and people wanted to be there with us. And that sucked. But honestly, it was beautiful and it was right on God's time. And then when our 10-year came around and we were stuck at home quarantining, we were like, okay, God, we get it. That was the time.
Wow.
It was beautiful. And to do it with hundreds of other couples, Shonda, like that alone, like if I will encourage anyone, if you've ever thought about doing it in like a group, there was so much love on that beach, like 20 somethings, 60 somethings, 70 somethings, 40, everybody. And then everybody just celebrated and partied together after it. And they do it every year. It's called the Aruba I Do. It was amazing. And it was special. And you can have your own intimate moment. And then you can celebrate with a bunch of other people who are celebrating love. A lot of couples. It was beautiful.
I'm already writing it down.
Write it down.
Taking note because Eric has already told me he wants to go back to. I'm always like, let's go to but he just fell. We both fell in love with Aruba. Like loved it. Beautiful. But I'm like, how did I miss this? Like
every
Aruba,
year they do it. You can come in your full dress, your gown, just your swimsuit, whatever you want to do. They have the entertainment, the food, the drinks, the photo ops. But it was a beautiful moment, and we got to renew our vows privately before that. And we talked about like. We were clear on like, why do we want to do this now? Why are we doing this now? We didn't want it to be a gimmick or a cliche. Yes. And it was so beautiful. And it was also a great chance to look back at the first 10 years and assess, what did we love? What could we have done better? When did we communicate our best? When did we fail each other? How do we not repeat that? It was a really good time to like, you know, review the report card from both sides. And it was really positive and really healthy.
Oh, I love it. Somebody said it sounds amazing, doesn't it? Brown Sugar said,
do it, y'all.
Like,
do it.
I'm like, how did I miss it? And like you said, like looking back over the 10 years, I used to, you know, because, you know, the more seasoned folks, have been married for a long time. You're like, wow, 30, 40, 50 years, that's a long time. So I honestly didn't think 10 was that significant until other people started reacting, and then you kind of look back, you're like, well,
it's like your first big milestone. Like it goes by fast, but not that fast. A lot can happen in 10 years.
Tasha said, as a single, never married woman, this combo is giving me so much life. Oh, Tasha,
I love it. I'm so happy to hear that.
Yes. This is why we do this. Yes. Oh,
I love that.
I want to encourage the singles and the married folks. I found this quote that you were featured in New York Times, and I love this quote when you said, I've learned it's harder. I thought it was cute and funny. I've learned it's harder to fight when you're naked because you're more vulnerable. So our most honest moments have been in the shower, which I just love. And I did start thinking about that. I was like, you know what? Sometimes I do express like even more when I'm in the shower. throughout your marriage, did you find that like one person was less vulnerable at times, or like on that journey to like discovering how to be more vulnerable? Because I know sometimes we assume it's the man and sometimes not, sometimes it's woman, but have you found that like there's been seasons where somebody was maybe a little less vulnerable or needed to learn how to be more open?
Absolutely. I think we both had moments where we sort of were a little closed off, be it for work or personal reasons. I think that's normal. What I think the art is with marriage that you have to learn to really master and balance is finding the right moment to be vulnerable with each other at the same level. Because it is not necessarily productive for one person to be extremely vulnerable when the other person is not receptive to that, and vice versa. But it's also important that if you're both going to just pour it out, that you're both in the right space and place to do that. And it's interesting because as part of my job, I have literally interviewed thousands of couples and hundreds of relationship and marriage experts, you name it, we've talked about it. And I've picked up different things along the way that have stuck with us. And that shower thing came because I was reading Fawn Weaver's book, Happy Wives Club, and she talked about every couple who's been and has longevity has a routine. They have something, their thing, right? Their thing that they do together. Sit on the porch, take a walk, take a run. It could be a morning thing, an evening thing. And we were kind of like, oh, what's our routine? Like, I really wanted us to adopt that. And we had to figure it out. And they said, make sure it's something that makes a lot of sense to you. So we created a morning one and an evening one. And one of the ones we created was the shower together because we thought it was intimate and fun, I'll be honest. And we were like, okay, that's something we can do together, that we can make our thing. And it ended up becoming this amazing time to just talk, cry, laugh, share, because you really have nothing to hide behind. Literally. No. Like you try it. You'd be surprised. Like, you're not gonna lie. Standing there with shampoo and soap and like, you're just not, especially if your bathroom is small, because we've had quite a few before we bought this house. Yes. Like, you have a whole different appreciation for getting close. But for us, it became a routine, but it also became a vehicle for vulnerability and honesty. But that doesn't happen every day. Again, going back to this is real life, not a show, not a movie. Like, you're not always going to be on the same page. And sometimes, me being the journalist, I always want to share. I always have a follow-up question. And I have learned that he just is not always here for that. And that's okay. And vice versa.
You have said a whole, like, I'm like, this is why you are Charli Penn, the relationship guru. Like, that is like, it's just so brilliant. I just love that you all made that your routine. And like you said, like, it's hard to find you're completely vulnerable and like, woo,
girl.
Like,
and all kinds of things come up. Sometimes you might just be talking about what you need to do on Saturday, errands and whatnot. Other times you might be like, that thing that you said that hurt, or when you said you would help me with this, you didn't. And it comes on both sides, and it's really, really, really critical to have those conversations. You know what I mean? Especially if you're not in therapy, which I recommend for every couple, just as a maintenance tool, not a savior tool, but a chance to just keep your marriage toolbox sharp and full. But if you're not in therapy, and you're not able to have a safe space to talk, you really need to create one. And it may look different for everyone. It could be the dinner table. It could be a drive. We love a car ride. That tends to also kind of like, we like to get lost together. Yeah. You too? That's our thing.
He loves going for a car ride.
Exactly. We get into the music, then we open up, then we sing. And before we know it, we're having deeper conversations, sharing more. Also, you have to just get away from the normal, day-to-day routine.
I love that, especially because, sometimes, whether it's a wife or a husband, and they'll, voice their concerns or issues. And my first question is usually, well, have you talked to them about it? And they're like, no. And I'm like, well, girl, what you telling me for? Like, and how can you even start to improve or to grow or to even address an issue if that issue hasn't even been made known, or if they don't even know that your feelings were hurt, or that that's a trigger or a red flag for you? Like, how are we supposed to move forward if you're telling me versus your person? You know what I mean? Like, it's one thing, like, okay, this is what I'm thinking about saying, but it's another thing to be like, well, no, I haven't told him, or I don't plan on. It's like, well, what am I gonna do?
And when you can't talk and say it, take note or text it. So what I tend to do, what we do, is if we're working or we don't have a chance to talk it out, I will text my thought. I will text my feeling. He will do the same. We used to leave each other Post-its on the bathroom mirror, if like, because we used to have different work schedules. Sometimes we'd be like 2 ships passing in the night. We've been through a lot. So I would leave a Post-it or we would send texts. Get it out. I have been on a plane in airplane mode thinking about a fight or an argument or how I felt and just being like, I'm going to write this whole thing. And when I get service back, it will be sent to him and we can talk about it later. And I think it's just important if you're feeling something and it's important and you don't know how to be vulnerable face to face every moment, just text it, write it, a letter, a note, a Post-it, a text, a voice memo, find a way.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. This was one of my favorite quotes, which I think best describes marriage. And I just appreciate the realness. And you said, I tell people all the time that I truly believe marriage is both the best and hardest job I've ever had. I was like, brilliant. So for a single woman or a future wife, maybe a newlywed or even a seasoned wife, I want you to provide maybe some type of encouragement by explaining kind of like why you feel like that, why it's the best and the hardest, but also like to encourage those who will tune in now and will be tuning in for the replay and stuff.
Yes. So right before we got married, my dad knocked on our door and he told me to come outside and he said, my dad loves an analogy. And he said, I have a great analogy for marriage and I want you to hear me, but not take it too seriously, but hear me. And he said, marriage is like back in the day when you used to have field day at school and the sack races and everything. Yes. He was like, it's a 3-legged race and you are tying your left leg to their right leg. But if you get a rhythm, you'll win that race. You can win. Somebody wins the race. You always see the person that finds the pair that finds their groove and then they get it, and they're there. But if one person's trying to do more than the other, or you can't find your groove, or someone's not pulling their weight, you keep falling down. So he was like, you and G are aligned. I see you working well together. You have a rhythm. Know that you are tying your legs together. But if you keep a rhythm, you will win the race of life. And I loved taking that into my wedding day, taking that with me to the altar, smiling because I was like, yeah, we got a rhythm. But that's what I meant when I said it's the most beautiful and best and hardest job, because make no mistake, it is amazing to have that partner in crime and that partner in life. But if you guys lose your rhythm, you're going to fall a lot or you're going to be dragging dead weight, one of you. And that takes work. And we're talking about at life, not at your job, not with some kind of temporary relationship. Like, you committed for life, at least that's what you said. So when you think of it that way, it is hard work, because if I told you had to get in a good rhythm or do something right forever, that's a lot of work. And so that's what I mean when I say it's a lot of work, because you have to realize that you're always sort of thinking about your well-being and someone else's, and then how you both can be at your best together to get to where you're going. And I mean, if they give you that assignment at work, you're like, oh, this is a hard project, or we have a big client. Like, if someone attached you with that anywhere else, that's a lot. But when you're doing that in your life, it's a really, really big job. But when I tell you the views along the way of that race and that journey and the vibes and the high fives you want to give each other when you're just grooving like that is a beautiful thing. So yes, that's exactly what I meant. It's work, but it's beautiful.
Somebody said, preach. Tell them, Tiff, preach.
That's my cousin too.
Tiff's your cousin?
Yes, she is. My family is so wonderful.
Listen, when you talked about that tribe, because that's so true. When you said that earlier, because like I always say, like, just because they showed up for the wedding doesn't mean they're going to show up for your marriage. So like having that tribe and having people to like pray for you or to encourage you in your marriage, that is so true. But that analogy is like thanks, Dad, for that. Like, thank
Papa
you,
Penn, y'all.
Charli's dad.
Papa Penn.
Papa Penn.
Really, came through. I mean, and he said it right before we got married. So I was like, whoa, that was heavy. But I know what he meant now. I appreciate what he meant, because I remember, I'm Virgo, very competitive. My Virgos know. I used to be like, grab the sack race, got it. Relay race, got it. But when it came time for that 3-legged race, I was like, who is going to be my partner? Because I want to win, and I know this is work. Okay? And if you need another analogy you can relate to, think about rafting. Your raft just keeps spinning unless you row together. So that's work. So if you've ever gone whitewater rafting or canoeing, you already know, again, to get there, you have to be in sync.
Yeah. And like you said, it's the same effort that you put in, like, for jobs and stuff. Because, like, people are always like, why are people saying marriage is hard work? Well, anything worth having and worth, like, sacrificing for is going to take some work. Like, I don't know why people always, like, give a side eye when you say that about marriage. I'm like, but it's the truth, though. But that's with anything. Any type of success in any area of your life is going to require some type of effort and some type of work. And like you said, in marriage, you're doing it together. And like that whole analogy, like if you can't be, because you can't be doing too much. You have to find your rhythm.
You do. And you have to be willing to pick someone up when they fall. That's the other thing people don't talk about. That's what happens. One of you will fall, both of you will fall. Sometimes you'll fall together, sometimes you'll fall separately, and sometimes they'll fall just when you feel your best, or vice versa. And that's okay, as long as you're willing to help them get up, and as long as they're willing to not pull you down with them. And that's the balancing act. But I've seen it done. Like I said, I've interviewed so many wonderful couples. I have wonderful couples in my family that I look up to, friends. Like, it's just nice to surround yourself with other people who feel that way about it, because it's good to see it working. It's good to see it happening. And it's good to get advice from people who understand. I think that's healthy. And it's okay if people don't. You know what I mean? I have just as many dear single friends as I have married friends. And they all offer something completely different. My single friends are able to tell me when I'm doing the most. My married friends are able to tell me when I need to hang in there. And it's a different type of word, but it's just equally important.
I love that.
Oh, look at everybody in the comments.
Yes, she said, Penn love. My P is for Penn. Great analogy. Looking forward to the replay. Yes. And of course, your fellow Virgo says, say that.
Yes. Well, the Virgos understand me.
Listen. Okay. So now it's time, because you have preached a whole sermon and more. If we had a collection plate, we would pass it. But now's the time for the rapid fire round. I have 10 quick, fun questions to ask you. Some a little kinky. I'm like, oh, yes, Charli, I can go, you know, you know what I'm saying?
All right. Here we go. Let me take a drink.
Yes. Go ahead, take a drink. And all y'all in the chat, y'all know, y'all can respond, because we got some new questions this week. And also get your drinks ready, because it's almost toast time before we wrap up. Okay, so are you ready?
How long do I have to answer? Like, I have to just go? Okay.
First thing that comes to your mind.
Okay.
PDA, here for it or no?
Here for it. You have it, enjoy it. Not too, I mean, kissing, hugging, let's keep it PG-13. Okay. You can do the rest at home, and I encourage it.
You're right.
Yes.
Which TV wife most describes you? Claire Huxtable, the original Vivian from The Fresh Prince, Rochelle from Everybody Hates Chris, or Rainbow from Blackish?
I would say Rainbow from Blackish.
Really?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I always feel a little quirky, a little bit off to the beat of my own drum, a little bit. I'm very family centric, even though we don't have Little Human Jet. When we do, I know that that's going to be as important to me as my career.
Yes.
And I love the way they talk things out. That's my style.
Yes. Me too. But I will tell you, my husband is Dre all day. Like, when I see an episode, I'm like, this is
that's you
conversation that we
same
every
especially
time.
When he gets sick, especially when he has a cold and he turns into a 4-year-old. Exactly. Yes. So definitely Rainbow.
Okay, I love that. I love Rainbow. Who's more likely to apologize first, you or him?
Me. Because I'm a sharer, I'm a feeler, I'm emotional. I will be angry and be sorry just that quick.
Oh, I love that.
Yes.
Who's more likely to initiate cuddling, you or him?
Ooh, me, but he likes to cuddle longer. I'll start it and he'll keep it going.
Ooh. Interesting. You're like, let's get it
Yeah.
started. Like, okay, now back up.
Yeah. Well, I'll be like, okay, I feel good now. And he'll be like, no, we're good. So I like that he likes to let it linger.
Oh, linger. What's harder, writing your vows or penning a piece for essence?
Writing my vows. Because, you know, you weren't trained. I wasn't trained for that. You know what I mean? Like, Essence, I was trained to be a journalist. You're not trained for love. So you got to really go from the heart and trust your instinct.
That's good right there.
Question.
Yes. Thanks. Listen, I was like, I gotta bring my A game tonight because you do this all the. I'm like, you're the professional. I'm like, I'm
loving
like,
these.
Listen,
I'm loving them.
Hair scarf on or off during sex?
On.
Right.
I mean, you know, he understands. He knows what I look like when I clean up. So I need to protect these edges.
Thank you. My husband says I look like a pirate sometimes with the bonnet on. I don't care.
But you love this pirate.
Show do. Aye, Captain. Aye.
Okay, we have no more surprise. Stop it. Especially if my hair is freshly done. No.
Because these Atlanta prices are ridiculous. Okay,
girl. Hey, Jamie. Oh, all my people in the comments. I see everybody.
Hey, listen,
hey,
we're here for it. Morning sex or evening sex?
Morning. I'm a morning person.
See, sis, I be wanting the morning, but I be so tired. I can't.
But that's in the morning? You're tired in the morning?
I can't wake up physically. Like I physically cannot wake up.
I wake up like a bunny. I'm happy. I've got my coffee. I'm like, the sun is shining. I'm that girl.
I love the bunny.
Yes, I seriously am that person.
Yes. I might already know this answer, but for movie night, are you more likely watching rom-coms or action flicks?
It depends on who got to the remote first. If it's my night, rom-coms. If it's his night, horrors.
No.
Period.
And the period.
Yes. I mean, it's all about who grabs it first in our house.
Yes. I feel you on that. I'm like, well, I'll go upstairs then. What is your personal, what's your personal your personal favorite Black love movie?
My personal favorite what?
Black love movie. What'd you say? Like your personal favorite.
Girl, that's like asking me to pick a favorite child. Like I love Black love movies.
I know.
I'm gonna say Love Jones because I love an instant, intense, oh my God, connection. I love to see it, and I will never get over Darius and Nia, and I would never get over the rain scene, the jazz scene, I'll never get over how intense their connection was. And for me, I love the intensity. I love to see it. But I can name 10, so that's tough. But I'm gonna say
yes. I know. Listen, I'm with you, sis. I'm with you. But like that the sex scene, I don't feel like there's been a sex scene like the one in Love Jones. Like, period. Like, I don't know who else is topping that. So I feel you. Somebody said
she sweat out her perm. I mean, she got it wet in the rain, everything. She sacrificed her doobie for him.
Yes, she did. Love. That's love. Okay, last one. Besides sex, what would you say you love most about being married?
The best friendship. I can't believe I got this lucky to have met my best friend and to really be able to journey through life with him. And for us to be safe and healthy and happy and still committed and still willing to wake up every day and smile at each other. I just feel blessed to have his friendship because everything grows from that. Support, love, loyalty, trust. Like, I just feel blessed to have that. Because if I wasn't his best friend, none of this could happen. And if he weren't mine, definitely not either.
I'm not crying. You cried. Okay.
Oh, that was such a good question.
Oh, thank you. I just added it tonight.
I love it.
Just for you, Charli. Just for you. We've never, like, honestly, we had asked that. I was like, I need to change it up for Charli tonight.
Love that.
You have that. Listen, that is, if I don't hear anything else, but I heard a lot of great stuff. But that for me, like, it just warms my heart. And I can't even tell you how much I appreciate you for tonight, for just everything. You have dropped major gems. If I had one of those, the sounds that they make at the club, I would like, yeah, that's what I would have been doing, like bomb, like the whole time, because it was so. I'm like, this is why you are the relationship guru, and this is why you're so great at what you do, because you keep it real, you keep it honest, but there's encouragement behind all of that, and so I appreciate it. So everyone, it's that time. Drop your glasses in the chat. Grab your glasses. Charli, I want you to
so much for having me.
Oh, no, thank you. And I love your wine tumbler. Yes. I want
you
to tell the people.
Enthusiast.
Oh, yes. I love it. I want you to tell the people how they can follow you, if you have any projects coming up or anything you want them to know. And then also let us know, what are you toasting to tonight?
Oh, okay. I'm toasting to love, to celebrating it, to talking about it, to each and every one of us having that love we want in our lives, in whatever form it comes. So cheers to each of you, whether it be self-love or partnership.
That's self-love, yes.
Yes, all of it. I'm toasting to love for sure. All right, and what was the other question? What'd you say?
How people can find
where
you,
they can find you,
all of that great stuff.
If you want to read my work, you can pick up any issue of Essence Magazine in print, or you can check me out on Google, essence.com. You can find my work digitally, and you can find me on Instagram right here at Charli Penn, on Twitter at 𝗪𝗏𝗃𝗏. And if you know what that means you've been with me since the blog days, and I appreciate you even more.
Yes, we have.
See?
Listen, I don't even have to toast nothing else, because you said everything. And again, I just want to publicly acknowledge you and just thank you for just being you. Thank you for all of the wonderful things that you've been writing about love. You ain't new to this, you true to this. Like, and you're trained for this. And so I just appreciate your humility and your transparency and just everything that you shared tonight, because I know you could be doing a lot of other things. You are always booked and busy. And so I do not take it lightly that you said yes tonight. And someone said self-love is wonderful. They're chatting it up and clapping up for you in the comments. Just to remind everyone, the replay will be available right after this on my IGTV, and you can catch this wonderful episode. Share it, like it, all of that, because I'm telling y'all, Charli dropped some major gems tonight, like on the real. I'm not even BSing, but on the real. We will be back in a week, the week after next. So, and I have a very special, it's Black History Month. Don't forget, it's Black History Month, y'all. Yes, Black History Month. So we got to represent all month. And it's Valentine's Day coming up. So whether you're single or not, or you're married, listen, I always find an excuse to celebrate love. So, don't worry about all the extra stuff. You can celebrate love with the people you love, whether you're single, your parents, your cousins, your little brothers, whoever. Or if you have someone, celebrate with each other, because we all need an extra excuse to celebrate love. So thank y'all so much for tuning in. Oh, somebody said love, black love, 19 years and going. Yes.
Yes, I love it. It has been my honor to be here with you all tonight, and with you, Shonda. Thank you so much.
Listen, thank you. Thank you. Okay? So until next time, have a good rest of the week, y'all, and spread the love.
Bye, guys.
Thank you, Charli.
Thank you. Bye.